In the vast Indo-Pacific, tensions between the United States and China are no longer hypothetical. They're escalating realities. Every military exercise, new weapon, and diplomatic move adds fuel to a rivalry that's reshaping the region. The question is no longer if a crisis will erupt, but when and how devastating it could be. The U.S. seeks to uphold the current international order and freedom of navigation, while China pushes to assert dominance in its near seas and resist American influence. The South China Sea and Taiwan Strait have become flashpoints, where a single miscalculation could trigger global consequences. Both nations are locked in a high-stakes game of signaling. Military maneuvers serve as both deterrence and provocation. Each runway built, each missile deployed, is a move in a strategic contest that's redefining the balance of power. The Indo-Pacific is now a chessboard where every action is scrutinized, and the stakes are nothing less than regional stability. Understanding these moves is crucial to grasping the full picture of this rivalry. The region teeters on a knife's edge, with peace and conflict hanging in the balance. The world is watching, as every development could tip the scales. The clock is ticking, and the next move could change everything. This is the new reality of the Indo-Pacific. The U.S. is completing a strategic runway at Basa Air Base in the Philippines, a pivotal shift in the region's security landscape. This isn't just an infrastructure upgrade. It's a symbol of deepening U.S.-Philippine military ties and a new front line within striking distance of the South China Sea and Taiwan. Under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, the U.S. gains access to key Philippine bases, prepositioning forces for rapid crisis response. Basa Air Base now extends American reach, complicating China's military calculus. From here, U.S. jets can patrol contested waters and respond swiftly to threats against Taiwan. This forward presence is central to U.S. deterrence strategy, showing Beijing that aggression comes with high costs. For China, the runway is seen as a direct challenge, not a defensive measure. Beijing warns that such moves destabilize the region and provoke confrontation. The perception gap between Washington and Beijing is fueling the cycle of escalation. Each side views the runway as a critical piece in a larger strategic puzzle. The base is now a potential flashpoint, not just a military asset. The stakes for both nations, and the region, have never been higher. The Indo-Pacific's security architecture is being rewritten, one runway at a time. To signal its commitment, the U.S. military has staged high-profile exercises across the Indo-Pacific. At Kadena Air Base in Japan, a dramatic elephant walk of 53 aircraft showcased rapid combat readiness. These drills aren't just for show, they test real-world skills, from rapid aircraft generation to joint operations with allies. Exercises like Balikatan in the Philippines build trust and interoperability, turning alliances into credible deterrence. For allies, these displays are reassurance. For China, a warning. The message U.S. security guarantees are backed by real power, not just promises. By flexing its military muscle, the U.S. aims to alter Beijing's risk calculus. The goal is clear: make any move against regional stability a costly gamble for China. In the Indo-Pacific, readiness is the ultimate deterrent. U.S. planners face a daunting challenge: China's vast and sophisticated missile arsenal. The People's Liberation Army rocket force can target U.S. bases and ships across the Indo-Pacific, with thousands of missiles capable of striking as far as Guam. The real danger is a massive, precise missile barrage that could cripple U.S. air power before it can respond. Runways, fuel depots, and aircraft parked in the open are prime targets. One strike could ground entire squadrons. Once considered safe, U.S. bases are now on the front lines, vulnerable to long-range attacks. Large, concentrated bases like Kadena and Guam are especially at risk. The U.S. Air Force's reliance on big, runway-dependent aircraft makes this threat even more acute. If China can deny the U.S. its runways, it can ground the entire air campaign. The Pentagon now faces a harsh reality. Its traditional power projection model is under serious threat. A recent Hudson Institute report exposed a glaring weakness. U.S. air bases in the Indo-Pacific are dangerously unprotected. Most American aircraft are parked in the open, clustered on exposed tarmacs, easy targets for missile strikes. In contrast, China has built thousands of hardened shelters, protecting its air force from attack. The U.S. has lagged behind, leaving critical assets and infrastructure, like command centers and fuel depots, vulnerable. A single missile could cripple a base's logistics, even if runways and aircraft survive. New bases in the Philippines are especially at risk, with minimal hardening. The consequences are stark. In a conflict, the U.S. could lose key assets before they ever take off. China could achieve a swift advantage by neutralizing American air power early. This vulnerability has triggered urgent calls for investment in base fortification. The era of assuming base security is over. The U.S. must adapt or risk being outmaneuvered in the opening hours of any conflict. The stakes are existential for U.S. power in the region. Hardening bases is now a strategic imperative. The U.S. is shifting strategy: fortify, harden, and disperse. Major investments are underway to upgrade defenses at key airfields, making them more resilient to attack. New hardened shelters, reinforced infrastructure, and rapid runway repair capabilities are being prioritized. Specialized units now train to patch craters and clear unexploded ordnance, aiming to restore operations within hours. The second pillar: dispersal. The Agile Combat Employment (AC) concept spreads aircraft and personnel across a network of smaller, less predictable bases. The new Besa runway is a prime example, complicating China's targeting and reducing the risk of a knockout blow. ACE demands new logistics, prepositioned fuel, munitions, and mobile command systems. Forces must operate with agility and autonomy, even from austere locations. The U.S. is actively training for this new reality, building a force that's harder to find and harder to defeat. This shift is more than tactical. It's a fundamental change in how the U.S. projects power in the Indo-Pacific. The goal: survive the first strike and keep fighting. Adaptation is now the key to deterrence. Air power is only as strong as its runways and logistics. China's missile doctrine targets runways first, aiming to ground U.S. jets before the fight begins. The logistical chain, fuel, munitions, spare parts, is another vulnerability. A single strike can cripple operations. The U.S. is countering with rapid runway repair teams and prepositioned supplies at dispersed locations. War reserve kits ensure that even if a main base is hit, alternate airfields can keep operating. Yet, China's missile numbers could overwhelm repair efforts, forcing a rethink of U.S. air power concepts. The military is now investing in short takeoff and landing aircraft, carrier-based aviation, and long-range platforms. The goal: reduce dependence on traditional runways and create a more flexible, survivable force. Protecting logistics is as vital as protecting aircraft. In the next conflict, the side that keeps its runways open wins the skies. The new runway in the Philippines is about more than hardware, it's about alliances. By investing in partner defenses, the U.S. signals unwavering commitment to treaty allies like the Philippines. This strengthens regional security and deters aggression. Joint exercises, like Balikatan, turn promises into real-world cooperation, making alliances more credible. For adversaries, these moves complicate military planning and raise the costs of any hostile action. The message to Beijing: the U.S. and its partners will stand together to defend the status quo. Collective deterrence is more powerful than any single nation's efforts. The ultimate aim is stability, raising the price of aggression to prevent conflict. The runway is both a military asset and a political symbol of renewed American resolve. The Indo-Pacific's future will be shaped by the strength of these alliances. The Indo-Pacific's strategic map is being redrawn. The U.S.-funded runway in the Philippines marks a turning point in the U.S.-China rivalry. America is adapting, hardening bases, dispersing forces, and strengthening alliances. China's missile threat has forced a fundamental rethink of U.S. power projection. Protecting runways and logistics is now a top priority. Every move sends a diplomatic signal, reinforcing alliances and sharpening deterrence. The era of unchallenged U.S. primacy is over. Competition is the new normal. The future is uncertain. Both sides are racing to shape the balance of power. Will these changes deter conflict or set the stage for something more dangerous? The answer will define the Indo-Pacific and the world for decades to come.